Hey guys, Buster72 here again. So today I'm continuing my journey and looking for the perfect fixed blade knife for me. I'm looking for a knife that I can use to process firewood, so I'm going to need to be able to do some chopping with it. I also need to do general utility work, so I'm going to need to cut rope. I'm going to need to be able to gut a fish with it. This is going to be a general purpose fixed blade knife for camping, hiking, and for survival. For today's test, I'm going to be testing this. This is the SOG Seal Pup. Now honestly, I didn't even consider this knife initially because, well, quite frankly, I'm not really a big fan of the mass-produced flavor of the month type of knives, which I kind of think this is. But after messing around with it for a little while, I decided I should include it in my tests. So this knife has a 4 3/4 inch stainless steel blade, and it has a partial serration. And the knife is 9 inches overall length. As far as I can tell, it does have a full tang, and it has a molded on textured plastic grip. It also comes with this nylon sheath. This knife lists for $98, but you should be able to find it for 50 bucks pretty much anywhere online if you look hard enough. So let's get on with some of the tests. Alright guys, so let's try out some sharpness tests. I'm going to try it out on some paper and some parachute cord. Then we're going to chop with it. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to see how it does on those slicing again to see how well it holds its edge. So it's okay as far as sharpness goes. Let's try it out on some other things. Parachute cord, something most people will have with them if they're hiking and in a survival situation. Let's see how it does. Alright, so you can see it did it. Fairly decent job. It cut it fairly cleanly. And finally, I'm going to try it out on a piece of fairly hard, fairly decently thick leather. So as you can see, it cut through fairly clean. So as far as sharpness goes, it does a fairly decent job. Let's get on to the rough handling now. Alright, I figured we'd start out a little lighter. We're going to start out with some dry, really more of kindling type wood. And let's show how we could maybe get some tinder with it. It does shave the wood fairly decently. Get some good curls out of it. Chop's okay for this size, so yes, processing kindling and tinder, it'll do a decent job. Let's go a little thicker. Alright, so it does an okay job of that too. So if we need to process some smaller kindling out of some thicker wood, it does a decent job of that. But what about even thicker? What if we need to chop down a branch, something like that? We've got a 2x12 here, and we're going to just see, as far as across the grain, how it does chopping on this. So you can see it did a fairly decent job, but I don't know if it held its edge. Let's check that out. Well, obviously it more tore it than anything. I don't think I'm going to be doing very much slicing of paper while I'm out trying to survive in the woods. So let's see how it does on the parachute cord again. It still did a pretty good job. It's not as clean as it was before, but not bad. Finally, let's try it out on the leather piece again. Again, it handles that fairly decently, so I would say that it actually is holding its edge fairly well. Now, it's not going to be razor sharp, it's not sharp enough to cut through the paper, but it does a good job. It does a good enough job for hiking, camping, and for survival, and it seems to be holding its edge through the chopping fairly decently. I always recommend taking a sharpening system or stone with you anyway, so you can definitely touch up an edge if you need to. Alright, so some of the things I liked about it. I actually really like the coating on this. It's pretty nice. As you can see, it's fairly non-reflective. It's a matte finish. I also really like the grip. I didn't think I was going to like a molded on grip, but this has got some really good texture. It lets you get a really good hold of this. Also, it does a decent job of chopping. It's a small knife, it doesn't have a lot of mass behind it, but it does okay. I also like the fact that it's fairly sharp from the factory, and it holds its edge fairly decently. So as far as some of the things that I don't like, well, I don't know if you can see this here. There's a lot of wasted real estate here. I think you could have added at least another 1/2 inch blade, and I think that would have been a lot more useful. And finally, I don't like the fact that it seems to be a trendy knife. They've thrown the name Seal on there to try to make some sales, and I really don't like that. As far as my perfect fixed blade, I don't know if this is it yet, but it definitely goes in the maybe pile. Until next time, guys, take care and be safe.